Aloha and welcome to A Course in Miracles, lesson 195 with Hope Johnson. We are in the complete and annotated edition of A Course in Miracles. Came out in 2021. And we'll do a quick tune in and then we'll get started. I have a really rich lesson prepared today. It's so fun. Take a breath together. We're all open to amazing insights and a transformational experience with this lesson 195. Thank you so much for joining. Yay. Yay. Welcome. Okay. Lesson 195. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. That's the lesson for the day. So we are stoked about this. And lesson 195, this is going to give us a very different understanding of gratitude than the one commonly taught in the world. Okay, let's start with paragraph 1. Gratitude is a lesson hard to learn for those who look upon the world amiss. The most they can do is see themselves as better off than others. And they try to be content because another seems to suffer more than they. How pitiful and depreciating are such thoughts. For who has cause for thanks while others have less cause? And who could suffer less because he sees another suffer more? Your gratitude is due to him, capital H, him alone, who made all cause of sorrow disappear throughout the world. So let's just start with the ego's version of gratitude, and that is comparison. I mean, I remember when I was a kid and we would be sitting at the table with stuff that maybe we didn't want to eat. For me, it was like peas or beans, that would be something I did not want to eat. And what did they say? You should be grateful. There's people starving in China, right? Did you guys get that too? I mean, that was common amongst me and all my friends. You should be grateful. You even have food. There's people starving in China, right? So this is the ego's way of gratitude. This is comparison, comparing it to someone else who has less than you, who doesn't have a reason to be grateful. Okay. So when we look upon the world amiss, that's what it's saying here. We look upon the world amiss. That's in the first sentence. Okay. Gratitude is a lesson hard to learn for those who look upon the world amiss. Okay. When we do that, we see separate people all competing for these limited amounts. It's like there's limited amounts of food. That was the example I gave. Safety, happiness, health. You should be grateful that you're in good health, right? Someone's complaining, some people are really sick. Look at you, you're in good health, right? Money, love, you have more money, you have more love than them, you have more opportunity. You should be grateful that you're white in America. You have more opportunity. I've heard that one too. Okay, so there's like this comparison system. Okay, so within this ego's thought system, gratitude can only ever mean I'm better off than someone else. By comparison, I'm doing good, so that's why I'm grateful. All right. So we might tell ourselves that we should be grateful because other people are suffering. And, I see this a lot. Like whenever someone has a complaint or something, someone else will correct them in that way and say, hey, you're actually doing good compared to what about this? It could be way worse. So this is what's being taught here. This kind of gratitude does not arise from love. This kind of gratitude is what arises from relief that the suffering you have appears to be less than how it is somewhere else, how someone else is suffering. So in this way, another person's hardship becomes like a contrast that we use to make our own condition seem like it's acceptable. All right. So seeing someone suffer more can never really make us suffer less. That's why I didn't get that when I was a kid. That makes no sense to me. How is me How is me forcing myself to choke down beans going to help those fuckers in China in the first place? Like, they're not, it's not going to feed them. so so this is then it comes to a direct question for us. It says in this text, who could suffer less because he sees another suffer more? So this is like a distraction from our own pain. It's not healing our pain. It's really a way that we manage to cope with our pain. It's a way to distract with it. Wow, I should be much more grateful. There's always someone suffering more than I am. Okay. So it's as if I see suffering as real for another person, it's like I still believe suffering is real and possible. When I do that, I still believe that it's real and possible. And that's not the correction we're really looking for. I may feel temporarily relieved that it hasn't reached me in that form. Oh, thank goodness I'm not like them. Thank goodness I don't, for instance, thank goodness I don't have a cocaine problem. Thank goodness it's someone else, right? Thank goodness I'm not a child molester and someone else is a child molester, right? One of those. So it's like this temporary relief that this certain affliction, whatever it is, addiction, poorness, sickness, whatever, isn't reaching me in that form right now. Okay. But I still remain afraid that it could. That's the thing. That's the hook. I'm still going to be remaining afraid that it could. I mean, really, what our parents were teaching us is to be afraid that we could be starving one day. We're not right now. We actually have some food to eat that we don't like, so we should be eating it. So the ego would say, you're safe because they're suffering instead of you. They're doing the suffering for you. You don't have to because they're doing it. The Holy Spirit is saying, your safety is actually in recognizing that suffering itself has no real cause in God at all. Okay. So it's not like we're grateful because someone else is suffering. What we're grateful about is that sorrow and suffering actually have no true cause. That's the thing to be grateful about. They actually don't have a cause in reality. So what this is saying too, what this text is saying is that our gratitude is actually due to God, because he didn't create separation. He didn't create guilt or punishment or sickness or death or poorness or anything like that. Our gratitude is really due to God. This stuff is not created. What we're looking on is actually not created. So this doesn't mean that God first created a sorrowful world, a suffering world, and then he removed the cause of suffering. It means that the supposed cause of suffering in the first place, being separated from him, actually didn't occur. It never occurred. So the atonement is really the recognition that God's creation remains exactly as he created it. That's the recognition. Okay. And here's where our brother comes into the gratitude. When the lesson says our gratitude is due to God, it's identifying God as the ultimate source of what we're grateful for. It's not telling us to exclude our brothers from gratitude at all. That is not the lesson. Later on in the lesson, it's going to say we offer thanks to them and we give thanks to every living thing. So it's not a contradiction here where it's saying we thank God. Okay. We actually thank God for our brothers too. We thank God that their truth hasn't been changed by our perception of them suffering sickness, fear, hatred, outrage, whatever they seem to be going through. We thank God that their truth has not been changed. Okay. We thank God that their freedom is actually joined with our freedom. So you can see, like with the example yesterday with our friend that was afraid of hurting his friend, he's already projecting suffering onto her. So he's not really grateful. He's not really extending that gratitude toward her when he's projecting that she might be hurt if he tells her the truth about how he feels. Okay. So we thank God that their freedom is actually joined with ours. No one's imprisoned by whatever we're projecting, whatever we seem to perceive about them. That's not really how they are. We thank God that no one is excluded from love. So God is the source of this gift. Our brother is part of the gift. So it always extends. And the ego is always grateful for a brother when he gives us what we want, right? That's such a common thing. Gosh, I'm so grateful. I just wrote a review on Etsy because I just got this bathing suit that's just totally perfect. It's like exactly the way I like it. It's hemp, it's natural material, it fits me perfectly. She took my measurements to make it. I was like, wow, I'm just feeling so grateful, right? That's not the gratitude it's talking about, though. Like I'm grateful to a brother because they give me what I want. I probably wouldn't have had the same review. I think I said I felt so blessed, but it's kind of the same thing. I probably wouldn't have been writing the same review about feeling grateful if the bathing suit came out and it was a piece of shit, or it was synthetic when she said it was natural material or something like that, right? This is the ego's gratitude. We're grateful to a brother because they're giving us what we want, or they're treating us in the way that we prefer. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm not saying I did it wrong because I expressed gratitude that way. That's also part of, the illusion that we seem to have. They seem to express gratitude for things people do for us and when we like it and stuff like that. People treat us the way we prefer. Wow, I really appreciate the way you're treating me. I really appreciate your donation or whatever. It appears to improve our life, right? But love, the kind of gratitude that we're talking about right here, we're grateful for a brother because he's part of us. And this is the point where gratitude really comes in, where it seems like you don't have a reason to be grateful for that fucker, right? Maybe they're treating you in a shitty way. Maybe they're not giving you what you want. And that doesn't mean you have to tell them that you're grateful. Like this is level confusion a lot of the times, okay? It's like there's one level of perception. On the level of perception, you may be telling them that you're grateful, but it doesn't mean you have to tell them you're grateful to demonstrate that you're grateful. It's more of an effect. Those things may be more of an effect, but it's in the mind that you're willing to see that your brother is due nothing short of your gratitude. And really where this comes into play is where they seem like they're not worthy of your gratitude. This is the important part. And this is the part where it actually changes your mind. Okay. Love is grateful because our brother is part of us. Okay. Our brother is part of God's creation and part of our return to peace. This is our return to peace. So when someone gives me what I want, like today, that bathing suit example, it's the best bathing suit I've ever seen anywhere in my life. Actually, I'm like so super stoked with this thing. But like in this example that I'm giving, I'm already stoked with the person. Right? It's more of an example where someone seems to have done something to slight me, or maybe they ripped me off, or maybe they didn't treat me with honor in the perception. That's where the gratitude comes in. Because if you look at the projecting thoughts of the ego, they'll be condemning your brother. They'll be making your brother out to be something wrong with them, right? This is the part where you really ask to see it differently. Ask to see that you want to be grateful. I would just ask the Holy Spirit, and I do this regularly. I ask the Holy Spirit, show me how I can be in gratitude for my brother, because this is what I really want, because this is how I actually return to peace. And I've seen it. I can give a really clear example of it too. At one point when I was running Miracle Botanicals, it looked like someone hijacked our name and started using it on Amazon. They were using our name, Miracle Botanicals, on Amazon, and they were selling products with a label that said Miracle Botanicals, but I didn't know what the heck was in those bottles because we didn't sell them any of the products. We never sold them any of the products. Oh, I was beside myself, and I was just having projections like crazy. And I was going, okay, this is where basically the rubber meets the road in spiritual practice, right? So I got in the shower, and when I got in the shower, I just started praying. I want to see, I don't even know who this person is. I don't know what they look like. I don't know if they're a group of people or what's going on, but I want to see how I'm grateful for my brother. I want to see how I'm grateful right now for my brother. And I just asked for that, and it arose for me. It showed me, it just automatically projected gratitude out to whoever, whatever they seem to look like or anything like that, whoever seems to be doing the thing on Amazon. It just went like that, and I felt so much peace in the moment. I didn't even mind what happened to my company, Miracle Botanicals. It didn't even really matter to me what happened to my company. And then once I got out of the shower, I just kept on staying in that recognition that they deserve my gratitude. I was smiling and everything. And I just sent them a message. I sent them an email. I don't know exactly what I said, but I believe the message was firm yet kind, because I was in a really nice state of mind. And they came back and they said, "Oh, pretty much, thanks for letting us know. We're taking all that shit down right now." And it just took it all down. I was like, what in the world? Well, I guess that's over, just really quickly like that. And then another one is, I have kind of like a repeated one coming back into my mind over and over about a brother that I was experiencing a romantic relationship with. And it just seemed like the whole way he related with me was just so dishonoring. Not to start with. For years, it was so the setup was perfect, For years, it was just this beautiful honoring. We seemed to even move as one component. But then at a certain point, it shifted and it went into this felt like diminishing, dishonoring. And when the thought of it arises, whenever the thought of it churns around and arises, I don't try to ignore it. I don't try to spiritually bypass it or anything like that. I just stop in the moment and I ask the Holy Spirit to show me the gratitude. All I want is to be grateful to my brother. And the more I'm grateful to my brother, the more I could see, I get relief in the moment. That's one thing, like our last lesson was about surcease from suffering, right? We just want a moment of surcease from suffering. And when these thoughts come to plague our mind, it's like it's bringing this suffering that you could tell there's a sensation that feels like suffering, and this need not be. I'm aware that this need not be. So I go, Holy Spirit, show me how I could be grateful for my brother. And, it'll come to me in an instant where it's just like I'm projecting gratitude. And what I see is that it's showing me how to be different in relationship, how to not be self-abandoning in relationship, because there's this blindness that takes over and this fear of losing and this kind of thing that takes over my mind that I wasn't seeing, that the gratitude for my brother actually allows me to see, so I don't repeat the same kind of thing again and again and again. It's like that's the last thing we want, right? Is to keep on repeating our same patterns again and again. Well, the gratitude is what takes us right out of that. So this is not about directing gratitude away from a brother and toward God. It's really correcting the basis of our gratitude. This corrects the basis of it. So our deepest gratitude is definitely not, thank you that my circumstances are better. It's thank you that nothing's been damaged. Thank you that your son is whole, because that's me. Thank you that this sorrow has no cause in truth. There's no reason for this. Sorrow comes in a lot of different ways, and people don't realize anything less than gratitude is sorrow. That's what it is. If it's just anything less than gratitude, you're guaranteed that's sorrow. So that's where you want to be asking to see things differently, to see your brother as he is. And so, the reason why it's saying your gratitude is due to God, because he is as God created him. He is not the way we see him. He is not this projection that says he's done it wrong or he's missing something or there's some kind of problem. Okay. Aloha. Thank you, Cynthia. I love you. Thank you for joining, sweetie. Yay. I always check on you between paragraphs, and I'm between paragraphs right now. So paragraph 2. It is insane to offer thanks because of suffering. But it is equally insane to fail in gratitude to one, that's a capital O one, so that's God, who offers you the certain means whereby all pain is healed and suffering replaced with laughter and with happiness. Nor could the even partly sane refuse to take the steps which he directs and follow in the way he sets before them. So it's been said before that we're partly sane at this point. To escape a prison that they thought contained no door to the deliverance they now perceive. So this is an important point, that it's insane to offer thanks because of suffering. So A Course in Miracles in Christ is not asking us to be grateful for suffering. That's a misperception, and it's one I used to have. I used to believe that I needed to be grateful for suffering itself. But this is an important correction, because spiritual teachings often do tell people that suffering was sent by God, right? We've been in atonement without sacrifice, and we've been seeing that God does not send any suffering. In fact, I was talking with my mom the other day, and she was being really adamant that God sent his son to die on the cross for us. And you know what? Something shifted in her. She finally saw, I know I've shared with you guys before, but something shifted in her where she was being really adamant with me. And the way I said it, it just clicked for her. She goes, "You're right." She finally goes, "You're right." And this is after many, many years. She's like, "That can't be. He couldn't have sent his son to suffer. That wouldn't make any sense." And Jesus said in this text, he's like, "Christians, please take note of this. Please just look at this right here. What I'm saying, how could a loving father that's the God of love send one of his sons to die for the other sons who are being bad? The good son to die for the bad sons. How does that make any sense, right?" So this is really important, because if you've just grown up in Christian culture, whether you're Christian or not, you're automatically programmed with the belief that suffering is sent by God, and somehow suffering strengthens you or makes you grow. This is saying the exact opposite. It's saying that it's insane to thank God for suffering, because God did not create suffering. So we don't need to glorify pain in order to learn from it. That's the thing. It's like we're the ones making the pain by misbelief. We're the ones making the pain. So that is to recognize that this is pain. When I notice a thought come into my mind that my brother has done something that doesn't deserve gratitude. It's not the thing it's not the thing that he seems to do too that deserves gratitude. It is actually that he is as God created him, and that's what deserves gratitude. So it's not as if we pretend like mean behavior is not mean behavior. It still is. And they're still going to be in the dream, in that level, the level of illusion. There's going to be apparent responses to a mean or painful behavior, anything like that. Okay, let the apparent response still be the apparent response. Let those effects all take care of itself. You work from the mind. So it's like, I'm grateful because my brother is still as God created him. I'm not grateful that he was an asshole. It's not like that. Okay. and the thing about perceiving someone as doing something against you, as being mean or anything like that, that's also on the level of illusion, and it can be left to the level of illusion. It actually does not touch you because it doesn't hurt you in any way. To believe that you are harmed is definitely cause for not being grateful. Okay? He's as God created him, and you are as God created you. And that's why there's only cause to be grateful and nothing else. All right. That's not the same as claiming that the pain itself was divinely caused. Okay. We want to stay away from believing that the pain is divinely caused, or the behavior, the type of behavior is divinely caused. Just because it wasn't divinely caused, though, doesn't mean that it's not true in the perception, that it's not true in the illusion. Okay, that's one level. That's the level of illusion. All right. We don't thank God for prison if we seem to be in prison. We thank Him for showing us the way out. And we certainly are in prison when we are not grateful. When we are not grateful, we're definitely in prison, and we don't know that there's a door until we do. And this is why we open up to forgiveness. It says that forgiveness is the certain means by which pain is healed. Okay. The healing means is forgiveness. The healing means is not the pain. The healing means is forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't always mean that an outer condition is going to change immediately. You know, that first example that I gave, the outer condition changed immediately. I was like, whoa, okay, I guess that's not a thing anymore. First, it seemed like this was a big problem, like I was going to need to call an attorney or something. All of a sudden, it was no thing. But the thing with my friend, you know, those conditions didn't change. They still haven't changed. You know, it's like there's still this sense that this person is avoidant. It's like this person is still relating with me as in when he feels like he needs something, he reaches out to me. But then there's no continuity. There's still this avoidant, kind of like an avoidant personality. But what I'm noticing is there's a sense like I should be sad or I should be mad or something like that. And sadness does arise, but I notice that is only because I'm seeing through a lens that's less than grateful. And that's basically a prison. And it's a prison that has a door. And so when we're asking to see the door is shown. That's what's great. So we're shown to have this break or surcease in suffering, relief, even if it's temporary, relief in suffering. And that just keeps on growing and growing and growing. And your practice gets more refined. So it's kind of like automatically, whoa, I'm out of gratitude again. Okay, that thought doesn't mean anything. Let me see it differently. Okay. So forgiveness means the mind is released from an interpretation that makes the condition as if it's a punishment. So it's like, okay, I could look at this person is behaving in an avoidant way. That doesn't mean it's a punishment on me. It's not a betrayal toward me. It's not a loss for me. It's not proof that my love is a failure either, right? This is the condition in the illusion. In the level of the illusion, this is the condition. That's what's going on. A lot of different conditions in the level of illusion. It's not a matter of pretending like that's not happening. It's not like that. It's not like trying to spiritual bypass yourself and say that's not really happening. Okay, it is happening in the illusion, and you believe you are in the illusion. Otherwise, you wouldn't seem to have a body. Okay, but it's also not proving anything that's true. So it's not punishment. Again, it's not permanent loss for you. It's not even loss for you. It's not proof that you failed in any way. It's not proof that they're deserving less than gratitude. And that's really important. Okay. So the situation itself may appear to be imprisoning us, but it's not really. It's the meaning that we're giving to the situation. So when I see it differently, even for just one moment, I see it differently. It's like I'm rejoicing with my brother that we're both still as God created us. You know, I'm rejoicing with him. Does that mean that I'm going to be hanging out with him? Does that mean that I'm going to be carrying what I found myself doing is projecting like more of a loving bond that we seem to have, that his actions weren't really in alignment with that, but I was projecting it because that's what I wanted. And, you know, that's the part that came back to bite me in the ass. Like, holy shit, that's not really what he's offering here. So the situation may appear to imprison us, but really it's the meaning. So when we change the meaning, and we change the meaning because we're listening to the Holy Spirit, and now the meaning takes on a healing purpose, then we're rejoicing with our brother, no matter what way the manifestation is showing up, no matter how the relationship is showing itself, right? All pain is healed in an instant, okay? Still, that doesn't mean that the form of the relationship is going to take on or continue the form that it was before. Okay? So forgiveness shows us that we're just not bound by that meaning, right? The door is always present. The door is always there. This door to seeing truly and to being relieved from the prison that we make. So we thought the prison had no door because we believe the cause of the suffering was outside of ourselves. So we think the prison doesn't have a door because we believe that the person's behavior is really like, I'm having a feeling like I'm in love with this person and this person's being avoidant. So we're getting the sense that their behavior is what's imprisoning us. Okay. So we thought our freedom depending on them changing. We thought our freedom depended on them being more honoring toward us. Okay. We thought maybe our freedom depended on our body being different, right? So it seemed like I couldn't have any freedom because he was saying I was too old for him, and I don't have any way of becoming younger apparently. Right? So there's a prison. There's a prison right there. The world becoming fair in some way, also it just seems so unfair. Like, it seems so unfair. Why do I have to fall in love with someone this deeply and have it be like that? It just feels so unfair. That just seems to be the prison right there, right? So it seems like we need circumstances to somehow rearrange themselves before we can feel better. That's not seeing the door, okay? So what's the cause of all this is recognized to be in the mind. That's where the door becomes visible and we're rejoicing. And, it's like we're delivered to this realization. We're delivered to this peace. And, with my friend, he kept on wanting to reach out to me and wanting to talk to me and wanting to make, stories about us hurting each other and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I'm just not available for that. We could laugh and have fun together, but I'm not available for making stories that we've harmed each other in any kind of way. I'm like, I'm choosing a totally different interpretation. And if you want to choose a different interpretation with me, then we can join. I like to join in truth, right? So then the prison door is open and we can be loving even if we're not seeming to meet as far as how our desires are and the way we are in relationship, basically. Okay. So the prison that seems as external is not really external. The release actually occurs within. And then whether we're talking to them or not, we can be rejoicing with them because we're always connected. We're always mentally connected. We're always communicating in truth. So we can always be rejoicing with them that we are as God created us. And we don't have to be in that prison no matter what the circumstances are. All right. So it's also not gratitude for your brother being an asshole showing you something. That's right. Yes. Thank you for that question. Yes. So it's not gratitude. Oh, thank you. Because that's one way that people treat each other too, that is actually mean, So it's not like I would say to him, thank you for being such an asshole. That's not where the gratitude is. It's you're grateful that they are as God created them. In fact, he reached out to me in one text and said how everything that happened shouldn't have happened and all this other stuff. And I just let him know that I remain in gratitude for everything as it is and for him as he is. Just let him know that that's the case. And then, he read my note and said, wow, that's like a really sweet note. And I go, well, I didn't really respond back to that. He said, that's a really sweet note. Thank you for that. And, within myself, I'm like, that's the way I feel. It's like, it's not like you are an asshole. And then when I talked to him, I actually had a conversation with him. I said, it's really important to see the difference between behavior and identity. There's a difference there between behavior and identity. It's actually identity that we're grateful for and not behavior that we're being grateful for. Okay. And like I said earlier with the bathing suit example, it's like, yeah, in the illusion, it's not like it's bad to be grateful. It's like, yes, the ego loves that way too. The ego prefers that. Let's say the ego prefers that way of being grateful because it's not really grateful for identity. It's grateful for something they did for you. But that doesn't mean it's bad to express gratitude to for people when they do something sweet for you, or when they're just like a really good friend or anything like that. But this kind of gratitude that we're talking about right here, this is really coming in when it seems like they're undeserving of gratitude, when you seem to be imprisoned by a thought that they're harming you in some way. They've taken something from you in some way. Now, for me, it was a sense that he took something from me because our bond seems so beautiful. Even to all the other, I had so many witnesses to this too, even to all the other people around, all the people in the community. One of my friends told me, gosh, you guys moved like you were one unit, you just seems so close and so bonded and everything like that. And it was kind of like, how could you be such a fucking idiot to throw something like that away? You know what I mean? So there's this sense of loss, and that's really the prison. So we're grateful that we are as God created us, and that none of this stuff that we perceive changes that. Okay? And this is not about spiritual bypassing, though. I know it just gets taken like that so often, that we should pretend like we like the way they are being, if they're being avoidant or they're being arrogant or something like that. Okay. At one point, I was like, why are you such a dick? And then I was like, oh my goodness, I totally need this right now. Because it was just showing me, I was like, okay, I'm seeing this because I need to see this. This is what I need to see right now because of my projections, not because God is giving it to me, but because my projections brought me to this manifestation. Okay. So let's go to paragraph 3 now. Your brother is your, quote, enemy because you see in him the rival for your peace. A plunderer who takes his joy from you and leaves you nothing but a black despair so bitter and relentless that there is no hope remaining. I can tell you I have felt like that. Definitely. And then the next sentence, now is vengeance all there is to wish for. Right? Oh, I hope they really suffer by the way they treat. I hope they get treated like that. I hope they never find a bond that deep and special like the one they had with me. Right? You just have to see it and be willing to see it. Okay. And don't be, this is the thing. The unconscious mind is vast and it's dark. And see, we become afraid to look at it because we're afraid of being guilty for thinking these things. But what I'm telling you too, and what Christ has said many times, is that these are not your real thoughts. But these thoughts do have power because you will not look on them. See, that's the only difference is I'll look on them. I'll look at the stupidity of them, right? And I'll recognize the stupidity of them. So now is vengeance all there is to wish for, okay? Because of this, he's a plunderer who takes his joy from you. That's what it looked like too. It looked to me that he was glad, that he felt good about himself, that I loved him that much. Okay. Now can you but try to bring him down to lie in death with you, as useless as yourself, as little left within his grasping fingers as in yours. That's it, you guys. And this is how the unconscious mind works, okay? I expose mine because I know it's helpful. I just expose mine. Most people don't expose their unconscious mind because they believe that it makes them guilty. What are they afraid of? Their reputation. Someone might see them as less than. Someone might see them as less spiritual or something like that. I don't give a fuck about any of that. I am exposing the mind, basically calling this bullshit that's going on in the unconscious mind. And if it seems to be going on in my unconscious mind, it's going on in everyone's unconscious mind. It's taking different forms of experience, but this is it. We're sharing one mind, even in the unconscious, okay? So a brother becomes an enemy when we believe our interests conflict, okay? So the quotation marks are around enemy, right? The quotation marks are around that because that's telling us that that could never be his true identity, that he's an enemy. All right. That's the role we assigned to him, though. We assigned him the role of enemy because he's the one in these thoughts that are going unwatched who brought us this pain. When we believe he stands between us and peace right now. And a lot of times what I'm saying is this goes unnoticed because we're not recognizing that our peace has been affected by this lack of gratitude. When there's a lack of gratitude, peace is being affected. So a brother becomes a rival and we think his success diminishes mine. You know, it seemed like that would be the worst thing if I were to see him in another happy relationship. And here I am still by myself, right? Seemed like that would be the worst thing. So it's like, you got to see those kinds of thoughts. Like his freedom would somehow leave me behind, right? His attention to someone else might deprive me of love. His joy would prove that I lost. What about success? What about people like maybe a sibling or something like that, that you don't want them to be doing better than you? When I was growing up, my mom would always pit me and my sister. She didn't mean to do it. She didn't know what the fuck she was doing. She didn't always pit me and my sister against each other. Basically, my sister was the pretty one and I was the smart one. Okay. Always telling my sister she was prettier than me and always telling me that I'm smarter than her. So I'm going to do okay because I'm not as pretty, but I'm smarter. So, I'm going to be able to make money and I'm going to be able to make it in the world. But my sister, she better find someone that's going to take care of her because she's lost, right? So this was the conditioning all the time to make it so, it made it so that in our interactions, like with me and my sister, there would always be this kind of like underlying competition going on, and it's like there's this sense like, oh, I'm going to feel really bad if my sister also is prettier and also makes it in life or something like that. That wasn't really a big one for me, but I could kind of see how that was. Even as a teenager, I was like, I'm not getting into that. I could see it arise in my subconscious though, and I would be like, no, I'm not getting into that. I'm just going to take care of my sister. But my sister, I could see, would always be in competition with me to the point where we've been at a party before and she's like, I want to do cocaine. And I'm like, why do you want to do cocaine? She's like, I need to get skinny like you. At that point, she felt like she wasn't as pretty as me. So then she was, I look at you. And she actually started crying. She had been drinking. So she actually started crying. Look at your legs. They're so thin. I want legs like that. She starts crying, So it's like this idea that someone else can be doing better than us and be happier because of some circumstances, some even apparent choices that they made. Okay. So any refusal to grant someone that gratitude, it seems like it ruins you. It feels like it ruins you. And then what happens is we project as if it's the circumstances themselves. So the ego's entire relationship structure is resting on the beliefs that our interests are separate. Okay? This is what this is saying. It's like our interests are separate. Like if I'm thinner to my sister's, I was looking at her, I was going, you look perfectly thin to me. Actually, I don't know if you're like looking at a distorted image in the mirror or what's going on. But it's as if I'm stealing her right to be the prettier one in her imagination. Okay. So it's the belief that someone stole our peace that produces vengeance. So my sister's actually like being angry with me. That's why she was feeling vengeful toward me, because I wasn't supposed to be the one who was prettier. Okay. So a plunderer is someone who steals something valuable. The ego tells us they took your peace. They took your happiness. They took your place. They stole your place as the one who's pretty. They took up your time even. It's like you don't have shared interests. Like they could take something from you. They took your time away. Right? They took the future you should have had. That's a good one. So once we believe that, then this vengeance feels justified. And it may not look like, like with my sister, she's like physically kind of like, coming her boyfriend kind of pulled her back. She was like, she had been drinking some alcohol and then she was coming at me. And her boyfriend kind of like pulled her back. Meantime, I'm being sweet to her the whole time. I'm even telling her, no, you're not, you got that wrong. You look awesome. So vengeance doesn't always look that dramatic, though. Like someone's trying to physically attack. It usually looks more like thoughts that are wishing them harm. They're wishing bad things happen to them because it's not, it's not seeing that we share the same interests. It might appear as withdrawing love, being cold. In fact, it's my sister's birthday today, apparently. I sent her a message. I remember that earlier. I did not say happy birthday to her. I said, happy day of expansion and beauty. Enjoy your celebrations. We'll get to that another time, maybe wisdom dialogues. So it may appear like you're withdrawing, you're cold, you're withholding love, you're hoping someone regrets losing you, you're exposing people's faults, you're wanting them to feel pain or something like that, okay? The ego would call this fairness. It's only fair. I'm suffering, you should suffer too. But Christ is showing us that it's an attempt to prove that both of us are deprived. Both people are deprived. So attacking another person is never going to be able to restore what we believe was lost. And what I'm saying here and what Christ is teaching here is most of this attack is not in the physical. In fact, that's just an effect of thinking. It's wishing harm for someone, okay? And it's believing that they have harmed you. Same thing. If it's believing they have harmed you, it's always there that you're wishing they are harmed too. That's always there. You may not see it, but if you believe they harmed you, if you believe they took something from you, that's always an underlying thought as well. It's like if I believe I'm empty and then I attack another person to the ego, it's a belief that could restore myself to fullness by attacking another person, but it never works. It makes me more empty. So it's like I'm trying to make them feel as empty as I feel. So this is what it means when it's saying to bring him down, to lie in death with me, right? That's what the text is talking about. There's nothing left to do but bring him down to lie in death with me. So both of us now appear like we're useless, powerless, grasping for what none of us seem to possess. So the correction is not to grasp more successfully. The correction is to remember. No brother can take what God has given. No brother can take that away. I can't take away what God has given him, and he can't take away what God has given me. And we have the same interest, and that's to see that we are still as God created us. We're joined in peace and love and harmony. So my peace could be hidden by my interpretation of what went down. Yes, absolutely. That happens all the time. But it's never been stolen by them. It's never been taken by them. It's just hidden by my interpretation of what seems to have happened. Let's say what happened. Let's not even say what seems to have happened, because that could be felt as spiritual bypassing. Let's say it happened. Sure, it happened in a dream, but we do seem to be in this dream, and we do seem to have needs in this dream, like even the need to drink water when we seem to be thirsty, right? So it's like, okay, it happened. Let's say it did happen, but my interpretation of it can be completely changed. My interpretation of that can be completely changed. The thing that didn't happen, that really didn't happen, is separation. It did not happen, right? So nothing can be stolen from us. All right, I'm checking on you guys. Okay, I see a big one here. The ego thoughts I hide from myself are so absurdly hilarious. They all are. It's amazing. Once I let myself look at them. Exactly. And that's the teaching, to let yourself look at these thoughts. Look at them squarely. The other day, 2 men got into a road rage incident next to me at a traffic light. At the red light, we all sat lined up next to each other. The 2 men began yelling at each other. Just before I drove off, I heard one man say to the other, "I hope nothing good happens for you." And she laughed. She's like, I laughed so hard. How adorably insane. Yeah, exactly. And it's like they're mirroring unconscious thoughts, the thoughts to be aware of. I've had someone say that to me before too. It wasn't even that long ago. They just didn't like something that I was posting on Facebook. I don't know what they didn't like about it, but they actually said, "I hope nothing good ever happens for you." I'm like, "Thank you for letting me know." And then I said, "Block." I didn't say that. I actually did use the block button on Facebook, apparently. Someone with that kind of sentiment for me does not need to be reading my posts. All right. Paragraph 4. You do not offer God your gratitude because your brother is more slave than you, nor could you sanely be enraged if he seems freer. You can't sanely be enraged. You can't sanely be enraged at all, is what is what A Course in Miracles and Christ has been saying. There's no justification for anger or any of those upset feelings. There's no justification. It's insanity. Love makes no comparisons, and gratitude can only be sincere if it be joined to love. We offer thanks to God our Father that in us all things will find their freedom. It will never be that some are loosed while others still are bound. For who can bargain in the name of love? All right, so let's break this down a little bit. Love makes no comparisons. So this is one of the central teachings of A Course in Miracles. Comparison determines value through our differences, better or worse, more or less. In fact, when I was leaving that message about the bathing suit that I liked, it occurred to me to make a comment on there about how I bought another bathing suit from another seller on Etsy, which completely blew. And the person wouldn't even give me a refund. I had to just toss it out. I didn't even want to give it to anyone. It was so shitty. It was like $100, and I was just like, okay, that's just going in the trash. It occurred to me to put that right into the review, and I run everything by the Holy Spirit, of course, because it's like everything is for teaching and learning. That's what it's for. It's all a means. So immediately it's like, no, that does not belong in there. That's comparison. Fortunate, unfortunate. This one was fortunate. That one was unfortunate. To just keep the review about her and how I appreciate what she did. Healed or unhealed, advanced or behind, worthy or unworthy. Okay. So love doesn't deny that these differences do appear in form, right? Hang on, this is asking me something. No, I don't want to do that right now. Thank you. Boundaries. Okay. So it's not denying that these differences don't appear in form. They do appear in form. I mean, I had a totally different experience the last time I got a bathing suit on Etsy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, really? I can't even get a refund? All right. And, I just took it like, okay. I just go, okay, that's a forgiveness opportunity. Good thing money isn't real, and it's like the Holy Spirit just shows you how to see, how to use any experience like that so that you can see and be grateful for your brother. In this case, grateful for the person who designed that bathing suit, not because she designed a shitty bathing suit, but because she still is as God created her, irrespective of what kind of business she does on Etsy. Okay. Love doesn't use those differences to determine anyone's value. That's the thing. So these two bathing suit designers, they have the same value. They share the same value. They're both exactly as God created them. And that's what needs to be seen. One isn't more lovable than the other one because they do something better. They run their business in a sweeter way or whatever that is. So a person may appear to be better than another person. They may appear to be freer. They may appear to be richer. They may appear to be more advanced spiritually. Maybe they have a good emotional IQ and they're able to communicate effectively. But that doesn't change them. It doesn't make them more worthy or less worthy or more loved by God or more complete. That's really the thing to see. Okay. But you can see also, like, noticing that the behavior itself, if I were to recommend someone where to get a good bathing suit, of course I'm going to recommend the one where I got a good bathing suit. I'm not going to recommend the one where I ended up throwing it away because it was a plastic piece of shit, you know. But that doesn't mean that it diminishes their identity at all. To see the difference in that. So the ego loves to feel grateful, of course, when another person feels more bound. Okay. More, but angry when another person appears freer too. So especially if it's someone that they don't like, but this happens when it's someone that you do like too. It really does. The ego will work on that. Even if you're friends with someone, it's like you can be happy for them for their accomplishments, but if you look, you may see that you feel ungrateful because you're comparing yourself to them, because you seem to be not doing as well as them, whether you seem to not be as spiritually advanced or rich or loved or whatever it is. I noticed some of my friends posting about their love, posting about their love on Facebook, and I'll look in my mind and I'll see a comparison there. I don't have that. Right? I'll see that comparison there. The thing is, that thought is not you. So you don't have to spiritually bypass it. Look square onto it and notice that it's comical. It's actually comical. When you see it, it's comical, then it's not affecting you. When you don't see it, it still is operating through power and it's affecting you. So it's those thoughts that affect you, those unconscious thoughts that you do not see. And it's just so common for them to be there, even when you really like the person. So the ego can be angry when another person feels freer, and grateful when another person feels more bound. That's very common. So we might think something like, how can they be happy after what they did? Why do they get what I don't got? Why are they moving forward? Why are they moving forward and I'm still healing? Why don't I get this as soon as they get it, right? Why do they have what I want? It's another one. Could be anything. It could be the health, it could be the money, it could be the love, whatever. It could be the discipline, whatever it is. Why do they seem like they're unaffected by things? That's one that I get as a reflection from other people. Why are you not affected? Like someone was saying how they, as in those who believe that they profit from keeping other people enslaved. You could say the powers that be, sometimes it's referred to as that, although they're not that, of course. They're taking pennies away from us because copper is good for us, right? And and I go, well, good thing they're so ineffective. And someone looked at me like, what? And I go, yeah, they're totally ineffective, because the only way that they could be effective is if you're afraid. If you're not afraid, there's no effectiveness. They have no effectiveness. And then one of them goes, is that really how it works? And I go, yeah, that's how it works. That's why I can be unaffected, right? A lot of the times people will be like, what's wrong with her? Why is she unaffected by all these things that seem to be happening in the world? Why is she unaffected by this apparent thing that's happening with the economy? And they're making it so that people don't have enough money to live. It's because I'm not afraid of any. I could look at them and go, oh yeah, well, good thing that's so ineffective. That's why I'm unaffected, because it's ineffective unless I'm afraid of it. Fear is the only thing that makes illusions seem like they have any effect to harm anyone. So if freedom is real, which it is, it has to be shared. That's the only way for you to know it's real. It is real, but freedom has to be shared before you know that it's real. So this is recognizing their joy cannot reduce ours. Their healing is no way going to delay ours, right? Their release, or they're finding the perfect partner or something like that. It's not really taking anything away from us. So their release can actually become a witness to what's possible for us. if we'll allow that. But first, it entails looking at those unconscious thoughts squarely and recognizing that they're insane. They're actually insane thoughts. And laughing at them is definitely a good way to see it, because they're insane, but they're powerless unless they're believed. They're powerless if they're powerless unless they're unseen, which they largely are. We went over that in chapter 11 or in chapter 2 a lot. So we're saved together, not separately. We offer thanks that in us all things will find their freedom. All things will know their freedom. That's the thanks. So this means our mind can become a place where others are not imprisoned by our judgments, but we have to be willing to watch it first, right? Then it becomes a place where others aren't imprisoned. We may not change them. We may not change their behavior, their choices, anything like that, but we can stop holding them inside of this identity we made for them. Salvation cannot mean that I become free while continuing to insist that another person is imprisoned or they're guilty, for instance. If I keep guilt real for them, I keep it real in my own mind. So that's like saying, poor such and such, poor them, those poor people. That's keeping guilt real, okay? And that's how the ego talks in the unconscious mind. If you'll watch it, you'll also maybe see it coming out of your mouth. And that's, a verse from the Bible, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. What it's really talking about is the unconscious mind there. So love does not bargain. That's another part of this paragraph. Love does not bargain. So that's not looking like I'll free you or we could be friends again if you apologize, right? I'll forgive you when you change. I'll love you when you give me what I want. Love actually offers freedom because freedom is the truth. And this is the truth that we share. We have a shared interest in seeing only the truth. Yay. Thank you for joining. I love you. Paragraph 5. Therefore, give thanks, but in sincerity. So this is not thank you for giving me this forgiveness opportunity. I hear people relating like that sometimes. Thank you for giving me so many forgiveness opportunities, for being such a stupid ass that you give me all these forgiveness opportunities. That's really being arrogant. That's not the way to really give thanks sincerely. It's an expression of in your mind believing that you're supposed to be grateful for their bad behavior. That's not what it means. And let your gratitude make room for all who will escape with you, the sick, the weak, the needy and afraid, and those who mourn a seeming loss or feel apparent pain, who suffer cold or hunger, or who walk the way of hatred and the path of death. All these go with you. Let us not compare ourselves with them, for thus we split them off from our awareness of the unity we share with them, as they must share with us. So sincere gratitude makes room for everyone. So this isn't asking us, this isn't asking us to stop being grateful, of course. It's asking us to purify our gratitude of exclusion. So purifying our gratitude of exclusion means no one is left out. And I'll tell you, when I was experiencing that earlier today with the woman who made the really awesome bathing suit for me, and the other woman who made the crap bathing suit for me came up in my mind, I found myself extending gratitude equally to both of them in my mind. Right. And that feels good. What I notice, it's like a feeling, a good uplifting feeling within myself, because I've uplifted my brothers, so to speak, even though they're two chicks. I've uplifted my brothers by extending gratitude to both of them equally, because they're equally as God created them. So true gratitude doesn't create this inner circle of people who deserve your gratitude and leaving other people outside. So one of my friends who was calling Newsom Newscum, that's kind of comical. It's not like It's not like it's good or bad to call him Newscum. It's not that. But I could see where the sentiment was coming from. It was coming from this sense that he's harming her and he's harming a bunch of other people. And I could tell her heart was struck by it. And so that's why I was like, you got to get help for that one. You got to get help for that one, because it seems like he's got some kind of power over people and over you and over your well-being. So that's ingratitude toward him. And, you need to come back toward gratitude for him. You can't leave certain people outside. It doesn't matter what they seem to have done. So true gratitude makes room for everyone. It says the sick, the weak, and that would include the frightened, the grieving, the baby eaters, the hungry, everyone who appears as if they're hateful, destructive, or they appear like they've lost their freedom. What about people being arrested? Are they arrested by ICE? I don't know. They're somehow thrown out of the country. What about them? Are you feeling bad for them? That's a projection of guilt also. All right. The phrase, all these go with you, means no one is outside of the freedom we accept for ourselves. We cannot leave one person outside of the freedom that we accept for ourselves. Compassion doesn't require us to confirm weakness. That is not compassion. Okay, that's a sick form of empathy, actually, confirming that someone is weak. Okay, we can respond to suffering in form. This is another thing that gets caught up in the bypassing stuff. It's as if we can't respond to suffering in form. Someone seems to be hurting, and we help them in some way. It's not that we can't respond. For all of this, we listen to the Holy Spirit, though. It's not the form dictates whether you should respond. It's letting the Holy Spirit dictate whether you should respond in the form. And whether you end up responding in the form or not, the key is in not defining them by the form. So, for instance, we can find ourselves feeding someone who says they're hungry, comforting someone who's grieving, assisting someone who seems to be sick. It's an experience of sickness. No one's ever sick. And we can also establish boundaries with someone acting destructively, okay? And without identifying them as being sick or destructive or grieving or harmful or any of those things. But healing really requires that we don't confuse the condition, the temporary manifestation, with that person's identity. So this is not a poor person. It's not a sick person. It's not a destructive person. This is a temporary thing. You could say the person, it depends on how you define the word person, but you could say the person, if you're defining the person as their true identity, is in God. They're who they are, their identity is in God, okay? There's not really a weak person. Weakness may be something they're experiencing temporarily, but it's not who they are. Sickness, likewise, something they're experiencing. That's a way that I like to say it too. You know how we tend to say someone is sick? Instead of saying someone is sick, they are experiencing sickness. And only putting one more word in there. And, it shows a lot. It demonstrates a lot that they are not identified with sickness. They're experiencing sickness. Maybe they're experiencing a particular diagnosis. They're experiencing heart failure. They do not have heart failure, okay? Hatred may be something they seem to express. They're behaving destructively. They're behaving in a hateful way. That's not what they are, right? So we can still respond to the appearance while remembering what lies beyond it. So it's not pretending that the appearance isn't the appearance. That could land us in some precarious situations, actually. It's actually responding to the appearance as it is while remembering the identity that lies beyond it. Comparison splits others from our awareness of unity. So it takes it as if we've broken, our mind actually takes it as if we've broken up unity. Okay? It's really hiding unity from our own awareness. But our mind takes it, the way our mind takes it in the unconscious mind, it's like we're killing ourselves when we believe that we've broken someone off from unity. It hides our unity because we can only have unity with everyone. If we leave one person out, we don't know unity. We're not aware of unity. So there's two ways we can compare. We can compare upward or downward. They're freer, they're happier, they're more successful, they're prettier, they're more spiritual, or we can compare downward. I'm better off. I'm more conscious. I'm more healed. Okay. Both forms are reinforcing separation. And the Holy Spirit doesn't work to try to improve the way you compare. The Holy Spirit removes that. The Holy Spirit just removes comparison completely. Okay, here's another comment. Also, we're all experiencing sickness regardless of the apparent condition of bodies. Yeah, you could say we're experiencing sickness because we're perceiving in separation. But here's the thing though. We're experiencing sickness not necessarily all of the time. Because when we are actually in the peace of God, we are not experiencing sickness. We're experiencing wholeness. And our experiencing wholeness within the dream of separation is actually what's revealing that heaven is, that truth is, that God is, that there's no separation and there's only unity. So that's also a misbelief that you can only experience sickness. No, you're experiencing sickness whenever your mind is experiencing something less than gratitude. If you're experiencing less than gratitude, you're experiencing sickness, okay? There is such thing as a happy dream. That's right. And this is what it is, this happy dream. This is what we're being taught, is how to bring about this happy dream, to actually have that as our experience. And what I notice for myself is I am normally and usually in the happy dream. And that's why any errant thought that comes up where I seem to be in less than gratitude, I could see it right away. But I'll tell you, it comes up all throughout the day. It just doesn't last long because it's like a second. It's like it comes up and I've noticed that's what it is. And I'm actually happy to see it. I'm actually happy to see that because I know what it's for. I'm like, oh, good. Like, just like kind of like when someone's doing block therapy and they're like, wow, this one, wow, this is some sharp pain. I'm like, oh, good. Because you know what's happening with that? It's being resolved. It's good that you recognize it. It's good that you see the way out. It's good that you see the door, right? You know the doorway. Where do I want to go here? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Everyone's doing awesome. All right. Paragraph 6. We thank our Father for one thing alone, that we are separate from no living thing, and therefore one with him. And we rejoice that no exceptions can be made which would reduce our wholeness, nor impair or change our function to complete the one who is himself completion. See, that's where the joy is. We rejoice that no exceptions ever can be made, which would reduce our wholeness, nor impair or change our function to complete the one, that's God, who is himself completion. That's why I'm like stoked to see that. So stoked to see that idea that the other bathing suit manufacturer deserves less gratitude, right? We give thanks for every living thing, for otherwise we offer thanks for nothing. And we fail to recognize the gifts of God to us. Okay? There's only one true reason for gratitude, is what this is saying. The lesson condenses all real gratitude into this one recognition, and that is we are separate from no living thing. That's the cause of gratitude. We are separate from no living thing. And that's why it's due God. See, God made us, God created us to be separate from no living thing. Even saying separate, it's funny that it's written that way. In total unity with everything. That's how God created us. That's why the gratitude is due God and extends to our brothers. So this is more fundamental than gratitude for health or anything else. It's just it's the fundamental layer where gratitude is. Shelter, success, favorable circumstances, those are all okay to be grateful for. Those are all okay, but they're not the fundamental level that we're talking about here. All true gratitude comes from the recognition that separation never occurred. Because we are separate from no living thing, which is what it says in here, we are one with God. Our relationship with God cannot be separated from our relationship with our brothers and all of God's creation. So that's about being grateful to everyone and everything, even like, let's say, the cockroach or the mosquito that might be biting. Even if you smack it, and that's one level, you're smacking the mosquito and you're killing it, right? On one level, you can also be grateful. I've heard of one master always saying, up to God. He'd kill bugs, ants, cockroaches, anything like that. He'd go, up to God. Up to God you go. It's like, it's just a way that he's demonstrating being grateful. It's not like, oh, you shitty little, and when you live like that, you're happy. It's not like you have to try to demonstrate it in the field. Oh, I'm so grateful that this ant is here. This fire ant is biting me right now. Oh, this is great. It's not like that. Our relationship with God can't be separated from our relationship with our brothers. So that's why wholeness allows no exceptions. The ego constantly is asking for exceptions. Everyone except this person. Everyone deserves love except for the one who harms me, or even the one who's annoying. Forgiveness applies everywhere except here. That's how the ego looks at it. Everywhere except here. Not right now. I'll forgive tomorrow. Can't forgive them right now. And it's not even them that you do forgive. It's actually your misguided thought, because they need no forgiveness. They are as God created them. One exception hides wholeness from us. We make one exception to this. It hides our own wholeness. That's the reason why we have to be in forgiveness for every living thing, everything that seems to be affecting us. We have to be in forgiveness for that, so we can extend the gratitude to every living thing. If I insist that someone is outside of love, which is what I'm doing, is if I'm sensing less than gratitude, if I'm experiencing less than gratitude, I'm insisting that they're actually outside of love. I'm teaching myself that it's possible to have exclusion. And when I teach myself that exceptions can be made and people can be excluded from love, what happens? The mind automatically believes it's me. Automatically. So we're believing in separation. We're not seeing our wholeness. That's what's going on there. We can believe in separation all day long and not see our wholeness, but we're never going to be able to accomplish that. It's only temporary. Every living thing is a gift. That's another part of this text. We give thanks for every living thing because each one offers an opportunity to remember the life that we share together. Even a difficult relationship, it can become a gift when it reveals where we're comparing, for instance, where we still believe our interests conflict, where we still make guilt a reality, where we still think that we should be overgiving. It's another thing. Where we still believe that we need to earn love, or that love should have exceptions. The painful behavior is not the gift. The opportunity to heal our perception, that's the gift. And that's paragraph 6. So I'll check in on you guys. Aloha, Jeff. Can one get possessed by illness or greed? In a way, I feel empty and ideas possess me on the daily. Good. It's good to know that. See, it's really good that you're aware of that. That's a huge step right there. Okay? When I go to sleep, I say goodbye to all that was defining me. Attachments, Klingons, possession works both ways, high and low. Okay. No, you can't get possessed by anything. That's not it. There's one section in A Course in Miracles called the possession fallacy. I think it's a whole section. I know if you go on Kindle and you just search for possession fallacy, you'll find it in the complete annotated edition. Look that up, because it's this idea that you could be possessed by something that's like outside of yourself. So, these are things that you're projecting, and by projecting them as if they can possess you, it's diminishing your awareness of your own power. It's not diminishing your power, but it's diminishing your awareness of what power you have to be released from these things without, saying goodbye to them. Saying goodbye to them is kind of like they entered without you inviting them. And it's not like that. There's only your mind making illusions, and your mind that's created by God that is only able to truly think like God. And when it's not thinking like God, when that's even a misnomer. When it believes that it's capable of not thinking like God and giving those thoughts power, it can seem like you're possessed, but you're not possessed. What isn't God? Right. Nothing. There's nothing that isn't God. It's all God. So you're saying unliving things? No, it's all God. There isn't anything. Yes. What's not living? Nothing. Even plastic is desirable to certain fungi. Yes, everything's God. There's not one single thing that's not God. That's why everything's due gratitude. Thank you for your question and comment. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Paragraph 7. Then let our brothers lean their tired heads against our shoulders as they rest a while. We offer thanks to them. For if we can direct them to the peace that we would find, the way is opening at last to us. An ancient door is swinging free again. A long forgotten word re-echoes in our memory and gathers clarity as we are willing once again to hear. Okay, so this is talking about letting our brothers rest from judgment, where it says, let our brothers lean their tired heads against our shoulders. This is symbolic. This is not telling you that you need to go out and have people rest on your shoulders. It's saying letting a brother rest from these judgmental projections that we've just been allowing to be projected from our mind. Okay. Again, we're not really capable of judgment, but we are capable of believing that judgment means something. So this is one of the gentlest images in this lesson, really. I mean, our brothers are tired. They're tired from carrying guilt. They're tired from carrying their defensiveness and fear and comparison. And they're exhausted in this effort to maintain themselves as a separate self. So this image of letting them rest their tired heads against our shoulders, that is an image that really expresses what it's like when we extend our gratitude to our brothers. We relieve them of all these things that they're carrying, and it's so helpful to them in that way. You may not see the effects of it right away, but to let them rest like that means they don't have to defend themselves in your presence, and that is huge, that they just don't have to defend themselves. We're not trying to expose their ego. We're not trying to correct their thinking. We're not trying to force them into a spiritual lesson, right? Like when I communicate with people, it's like I don't try to do this stuff to them. I don't try to make them, get a correction or something like that. It's like we're just hanging out. It could be very light. So we become a resting place by refusing to be condemning them. We actually find peace by extending peace. This is it, because it's really us getting the rest. It's like they are us. So Christ is saying, and through A Course in Miracles here, that if we can direct our brothers toward peace, toward the peace we would find, the way opens for us. That's what's in the text. If we can direct our brothers toward the peace we would find, the way opens for us. So we don't wait until we have perfectly attained peace before offering it. See that? You don't have to wait till you're perfectly peaceful before offering the peace. You're offering the peace to them. You're directing them toward peace. Is teaching your own mind. It's showing you the way. So we offer what we want to remember. That's what we offer. This doesn't necessarily require you to say any words. This kind of directing someone towards peace, this is seeing beyond their fear. They're expressing that they're fearful, and you're seeing beyond their fear to the truth that they are. And the simplest thing, they are as God created them. Refusing to make their errors into their identity. We could have a perception, we could determine, oh yeah, there are engaging thoughts that are hurting them. But we don't have to make that their identity, that now they're a fearful person, or they're a misguided person or something like that. So it's like listening to them without attack, responding to them without being vengeful. It doesn't mean that this is in words either. This is in the mind. The words are an effect. So this is a matter of silently remembering their innocence. What we extend to them becomes stronger in our own awareness. It also talks about the ancient door opening through willingness. This is our willingness. The door is ancient because the memory of God predates this stream of separation. In fact, there's no date for it. It's outside of time. It's not a new door that we have to build. This ancient door, the door is here. It's a door forgotten. And it says it swings open again. The long forgotten word is the remembrance of love. Word is capitalized here. The long forgotten word. It's remembrance of love. It's remembrance of oneness and our true identity. It gathers clarity. It's not through intellectually forcing them to see. It's our own willingness. This is something I was talking about with Lori earlier when she was some weeks ago, when she was going, why don't they just get it? It's because you're trying to intellectually force them. It's your willingness that really helps that door swing open. So every time you're releasing comparison or letting a brother just rest from your condemnation, the word becomes easier to hear in you. This is the word that swings the door open. Okay, that's what's being talked about in the text here. All right, we got another one from Durga here. So far, I see in text chapter 2, part 1, the real meant of possession. Okay, correction. The real meaning of possession. Okay, good. You can also, hang on, I'll go to my Kindle. I have it open right here. Okay, if you type in possession fallacy, you'll come up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different passages. So yeah, you can look that up now or later. I mean, it might be for later because this one isn't really about possession, but you might go back to that. That was in chapter 2, I believe. All right, paragraph 8. Walk then in gratitude, the way of love. And that's this lesson. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. Walk then in gratitude, the way of love. For hatred is forgotten when we lay comparisons aside. What more remains as obstacles to peace? The fear of God is now undone at last, and we forgive without comparing. Thus, we cannot choose to overlook some things and yet retain some other things still locked away as, quote, sins. When your forgiveness is complete, you will have total gratitude, for you will see that everything has earned the right to love by being loving, even as yourself. So hatred depends on comparison. Hatred is resting on the belief I'm different from the person I condemn. You can't condemn a person unless you believe you're different from them. All right? We tell ourselves, I would never do what they did. My mistakes are understandable, but they're being malicious. I deserve compassion. They deserve punishment. It's like, how can you deserve compassion if they don't too, right? I'm innocent because they're guilty. That's the ego comparison. When comparison is laid aside, though, hatred loses its foundation. Comparison is brought up a lot in this one because it's important. You can't be having comparison and also walking in this gratitude. We can still recognize that behavior, again, is harmful or inappropriate, but we no longer use that to establish unequal value. Forgiveness cannot keep a hierarchy of sins. The ego is willing to forgive, but only selectively. It says minor errors, okay, major offensive, not major offenses. Many people will say, I'm not forgiving people who start wars, and I'm not forgiving child molesters. Some people think that if you do forgive child molesters, you're a child molester. They even go that far. The idea that some people deserve release, others might remain condemned, right? The ego wants others to remain condemned. That's the example I gave of this child molester one. I used to bring that up a lot in wisdom dialogues because I could see in the crowd it would really irk people. They're like, I don't want to give that one up. I want to keep condemning child molesters. I believe it's the right thing. I'm like, look, I'm not trying to rub on you here. It's just that if you keep one person guilty, and I know that's one that's acceptable, if you keep one person guilty, you're hurting yourself. That's all. Complete forgiveness recognizes that every behavior in every situation is 100% helpful because each one can be used for awakening. Each one. It's like, it's your reaction to it. It's your interpretation of it. That's the means. So this doesn't mean that every situation calls for the same response in form. That's not saying that. It's not saying you should let child molesters child molest. That is not saying that at all. The Holy Spirit may guide you to stay, leave, speak something, stay silent, offer practical help, beat someone's ass even. It could be that even. Or establish a boundary, okay? But what makes the situation really helpful is not the form of the behavior, it's the purpose you're allowing it to serve. Is it serving the Holy Spirit's purpose or is it serving the ego's purpose? No behavior has any power to change what God created. No behavior falls outside of usefulness for what the Holy Spirit would do for this curriculum. Okay, there's quotation marks around sins in this paragraph, and that's just to remind us that sin is an interpretation placed on error. So in A Course in Miracles, and the way Christ states it is he calls these errors, not sins, and that's why here there's sins in quotation marks. Complete forgiveness produces total gratitude. When forgiveness is complete, nothing's going to remain outside of love. That means the hateful person is actually helped by revealing what is actually being helpful and is being helped when you're recognizing that that's just revealing what needs to be forgiven, right? So it's like a hateful, mean, even molesting person, if you're seeing it as helpful because it's revealing what remains to be forgiven. It's not like the person deserves to be molested. It's not like they brought it on themselves or something like that. It's just that the manifestation itself is revealing what remains to be forgiven so that you don't have to keep on making those manifestations, which you don't want those to be made over and over again. The loving person is helpful by reflecting the truth that we are learning to recognize, okay? One appears to teach through contrast, the other through reflection, but they're all loving. And that's one thing that it's saying here, in this paragraph. I love it because when your forgiveness is complete, you will have total gratitude, for you will see that everything has earned the right to love by being loving, even as yourself. So everything is loving, irrespective of what interpretation is happening, okay? The Holy Spirit can use the reflection of some contrast or the reflection of someone apparently being loving. The Holy Spirit can use both of those completely. So we become grateful even for any encounter that seemed to be threatening because they're revealing where healing is still needed. So we're not grateful. Again, we're not being grateful for cruelty. We're not being grateful for child molesting, baby eating, suffering, destructive behavior, any of that stuff. We're actually grateful that none of it succeeded in changing reality. No one is really capable of being unloving. That doesn't change the fact that in the perception, there's unloving behavior, okay? Because our minds were still as God created us, and God didn't create anything unloving. So everything retains the right to love because everything God created was created loving. And that includes your brother and includes you and includes everyone and everything. That's paragraph 8. Aloha. Oh, thank you. Okay. Aloha, Gary. Okay, and here's another one from Jeff. Every time I hear comparison, I remember that card from Osho's deck. Something about the bamboo not wanting to be like the oak. Oh, that's great. We have the Osho's deck sitting right here, too, so that's a fun one. We love Osho here in Puna, don't we? What fun. All right. Paragraph 9. Today we learn to think of gratitude in place of anger, malice, and revenge. We have been given everything. If we refuse to recognize it, we are not entitled, therefore, to our bitterness and to a self-perception which regards us in a place of merciless pursuit, where we are badgered ceaselessly and pushed about without a thought or care for us or for our future. I love this sentence because they're saying if we don't recognize that we've been given everything, that doesn't mean we're entitled to this bitterness and all these other things that go along with us, go along with bitterness, right? This sad self-perception, being badgered ceaselessly, doesn't mean we're entitled to these things. We're still entitled to miracles, even if we don't accept that we've been given everything. We remain entitled to miracles. Gratitude becomes the single thought we substitute for all these insane perceptions. God has cared for us and calls us son. Can there be more than this? Oh, I just got chicken skin. So anger says that something has been taken. Anger, malice, revenge, they all rest upon this idea that we've been deprived of something, this deprivation fallacy. They say something I needed was withheld. Someone took something that belonged to me. I was not cared for properly, right? I must now get justice for what I lost. So this lesson is answering that thought system entirely with one simple sentence. We have been given everything. That's what we need to know. We have been given everything. At the level of personality, we may not have received every form we wanted. That's why people think they want more lifetimes so they could do it better. The level of our personality, we may not perceive that we're getting what we want. But at the level of self, nothing is missing. And see, bitterness comes from an identity as if you're a victim. It's a victimhood kind of identity. That's where the bitterness comes from. It's like, for me, from my perception and perspective, nothing is missing. That's how it is. That's why when one of those mad thoughts comes in and I sense less than gratitude, I'm immediately recognizing that I'm out of the peace of God in this moment, and that need not be. And I'm coming back right away. I don't need to stay in that for any kind of length of time. The ego would portray us as bodies that are trapped in this merciless world where I'm not getting what I want. I know I always have what I want. So what I seem to get in the world doesn't affect that one bit. It's all that I could ever get in the world could be the means for seeing that I already have everything. That's all I could even get in the world, whether it seems good or bad. It's all only the means for seeing that I actually have everything. So we seem to be like we're ceaselessly pursued by things like aging and illness and money concerns and rejection and obligations and loss and uncertainty, all these actions of all these other people. We seem to be pursued by these things. But this produces a self-perception of helplessness only when we believe that those things define what we have. Those things do not define what we have. You know, the truth of the matter is, in this one sentence, We have been given everything. So when we believe that these things in the world are actually what we're given, it's like life keeps on happening to me. These things keep on happening. And that's why Christ is saying that you don't, it's not like you deserve, or he uses the word entitled. If you refuse to recognize that you have everything, it doesn't mean you're entitled to bitterness or self-perception that regards you in a place of merciless pursuit, where we're badgered ceaselessly and pushed about without a thought or care for us or for our future. See that? This is true. This is the true compassion right here. So Christ is not shaming us for feeling this way, though. Like, why am I not getting what I want, right? This way of, why is the world not giving me what I want? We're not being shamed for feeling this way. We're being shown and asked and invited to recognize that this perception is not the truth of who we are. So we can actually see that we've been given everything and receive the peace of God right now, which is our true inheritance. So this doesn't mean pretending that everyone is cared for us lovingly in form. Okay, I may recognize that someone was avoidant. I talked about that earlier. Dismissive, inconsistent, unwilling to meet me with honesty, unwilling to be steady. I can truthfully say, I was not cared for lovingly by this person, in this level, on this level. But the correction is not to call loveless behavior loving. It's not that. The correction is to refuse the larger conclusion, therefore I am uncared for. I'm always cared for. Love is always choosing me. Love is always caring for me. Someone's failure to express love toward me doesn't mean I've been abandoned by love. Their behavior doesn't determine my value. It doesn't change my identity. It doesn't prove that I'm at the mercy of a merciless world. That's how the ego would take it. See, look, you're at the mercy of a merciless world. You trusted that person and look how they treated you, right? And it's like, none of that means anything. It's like, God is my creator who retains my identity for me. And I can be grateful to my brothers that they share that identity with me, no matter what kind of manifestation they're demonstrating at the time, no matter what their behavior looks like. So gratitude becomes a single replacement thought. Gratitude is not used here to force positivity. It's not for false positivity or spiritual bypassing, as you might call it. It's a direct correction for the thought that we've been abandoned. All right? We can substitute, God has cared for me. I remain his son. Nothing real has been withheld. No brother can take my identity away from me. So we don't give them that kind of power. When we give them that kind of power, we actually take them down with us. It's like we're taking them down with us. Now, that was the first paragraph. Make them lie beside us in death, right? God calls us son, is what the text says. Not victim, not sinner, not failure, not the one who's abandoned. So the question in this paragraph, can there be more than this? See, the ego would want to make more than everything. Can there be more than everything? Can you get more than everything, right? If they didn't give me something, how could I lose when I already have everything? Could there have been more? And this is asking us to recognize that no worldly addition can improve what God created. When you recognize that, you don't mind what the manifestations are because they're all the same. What could they be useful for except to open your eyes to the fact that you've been given everything? That makes all manifestation, all behavior equal, right? Not in the sense, again, that that different behavior would receive a different response on the level of perception. So it's not about trying to, again, this is a way of spiritually bypassing, trying to make it like sweet behavior or unloving behavior is actually sweet behavior. No, they're always loving because of how they were created, but that doesn't mean there isn't unloving behavior apparently in the field. Okay, that's where people get tripped up hard. And actually, it trips them up so hard that they try to practice that a lot of the times, and they end up going against A Course in Miracles as a whole, because they'll go, that must be some kind of psyop. You know, a lot of people think it's a psyop. They end up thinking it's a psyop because they went to they tried to make the level of perception into something different than what it is. It's still the level of perception. It still has its own cause and effect. It's just that ultimately you want to see that everyone is loving because of how they're created, and they're only deserving of gratitude in your mind. You don't have to make your behavior look like you're one when you're actually perceiving a world of separation. And you do believe that you're separate while you perceive a world of separation. Aloha, Gary. I love you. Thank you for joining. Okay. Paragraph 10, last paragraph. Our gratitude will pave the way to Him. That's capital H, that's God. And shorten our learning time by more than you can ever dream of. Gratitude goes hand in hand with love, and where one is, the other must be found. For gratitude is but an aspect of the love, which is the source of all creation. God gives thanks to you, His Son, for being what you are, His own completion and the source of love along with Him. Your gratitude to Him is one with His to you. And this is God. Your gratitude with God is one with God's gratitude to you. For love can walk no road except the way of gratitude. That's a good one. For love can walk no road except the way of gratitude. And thus we go who walk the way to God. So gratitude shortens the time that it takes to undo this world. That's what the learning time is, what it's being talked about here. This is the time it takes to undo the world of separation. Why do we want to undo the separation? Because it's superimposed on our reality. It is not a reality. All right? That doesn't mean to reject the world of separation. That is not what it's saying. Grievances actually preserve time. So when you're not in gratitude, what you're doing is you're preserving time. You're extending time, okay? They keep us replaying the past, waiting for someone to pay, demanding that someone change, imagining future vindication, or insisting that our peace depends on some kind of an external correction. Isn't that so common? We want other people to change. We want to change the world first, and then we get peace. It's not like that. Gratitude releases all of these delays that the ego would impose. It says, I no longer need to prove that God failed me. I don't need to do that anymore. I'm just grateful. I don't need to prove that my brother has deprived me. There's no deprivation here. It doesn't matter that that person that I paid $100 to sent me a shitty bathing suit and then she wouldn't refund it. And then I left her a bad review too on Etsy, right? None of this shit matters. She hasn't deprived me. I haven't deprived her. It's a matter of extending love in the way of gratitude. Am I grateful that she made a shitty bathing suit and then didn't do good business? No, I'm grateful that she is exactly as God created her, just as I'm exactly as God created me, that we share the same interest, and that I have the ability to extend gratitude no matter what is being perceived. That's why first your gratitude is to God, because God created them perfect no matter what kind of perception you're having. So I'm willing to recognize what's already been given. I have everything. Okay, a genuine shift from grievance to gratitude can undo these patterns we've been repeating for years, or centuries, lifetimes. It's ancient, these patterns. God gives thanks to His Son. This is one of the most extraordinary ideas in the lesson. God gives thanks to His Son. We usually imagine gratitude flowing only from us to God, right? Here we're told God gives thanks to us for being what we are. He delights in his creation. This is what it's saying. God delights in his creation. His gratitude does not mean he lacked something before he created us. It's not saying that. It's actually expressing the joy of love, extending itself and recognizing its own completion. We complete God. So we're called his completion because creation is the extension of his being. That's what it is. That's why we're called God's completion. So our gratitude to God and his gratitude to us are actually the same. That's saying when we are giving gratitude to God, that's basically God giving gratitude to himself. That's us in our godly mind, actually. True gratitude is not an exchange between separate beings, is it? There's only one of us. We're not separate from God. We're God's extension. See that? So our gratitude to God and his gratitude to us are really one movement of love recognizing itself. We're just opening up, we're opening the way to that because, in our decision to take on the thought of separation, it's like we've shut that off. And so when we open it back up, when we open that swinging door, it talks about in the lesson, we look for that swinging door. We're actually opening up to basically God giving gratitude to himself. We're an extension of his own being. And so when we give gratitude to God, that's that circular gratitude. It's really the same thing. Ultimately, we come to realize we are not separate from God in any way. Okay, being an extension of God's being, that is not separation. It does take recognizing, though, as the extension. It's like we're the son and he's the father, but it's not like in the worldly sense where we have separate bodies. We're not separate at all. Our gratitude is actually God's gratitude, and that's why it helps everyone. So this is why love can walk no road except gratitude. Love knows that nothing is missing, and love knows that no one has truly been excluded. And I'm saying that whatever it is that's manifesting on the surface, that is neither here nor there. The surface level, the surface layer is not the same as the mental layer. The surface layer is a reflection. You could look at it like a mirror. Stop trying to fix the mirror and go back to where its cause is. The cause is in the mind that has lost its way in terms of gratitude. That's what this lesson is all about. Love or God knows that another person's freedom is not separate from our own. And so we walk the way to God together. And that's that's paragraph 10. We are in lesson 195 in A Course in Miracles. And the lesson is love is the way we walk in gratitude. This is the practice for the day. If this is your lesson that you're on today, if you started with day 1, January 1st, this is where you are. A lot of people do it like that. You may be on any lesson. That's okay. I'm glad you joined me for this deep dive. So just to wrap it up, the ego says, I'm grateful because I have more, or because I escaped what another person suffered, or I'm grateful because God favored me. Love would say, no one's been excluded from God's gifts, okay? My brother's freedom is one with mine. We're separate from no living thing. God has cared for us and calls us son. So true gratitude leaves no one beneath us and no one above us. That's another thing the ego likes to do, is make it like I'm above you, you're above me, and sometimes it goes back and forth. It does not require another person's bondage to prove that we're free. So that's the thing that we have, like with prisons and stuff like that. I'm not saying they should go away. It's not like that. It's a reflection again. That's something that seems to be required in form, and that's a thing that'll play itself out. The reflection will change as the mind changes. None of this stuff is going to be necessary because the whole world of separation is going to be wiped away as the mind is revealed that this is only love, that we only have one shared interest, and that is seeing that we all have everything. So that's not requiring another person's suffering to make our life seem blessed. Okay? It's not bargaining with love. It's not making exceptions to forgiveness at all. Love is the way we walk in gratitude because love makes no comparisons. And when comparison ends, every brother goes with us. You guys, we could be totally close right now and not even know how close we are. But irrespective of how close or far away we are, when we walk in gratitude, we are collapsing time. And as we collapse time, we start living the happy dream. That's how we know we're close. We start living the happy dream more and more. And by living the happy dream means we remain in gratitude most of the time. Eventually, when it's 100% of the time, that's where God takes the final step, the way it's presented in A Course in Miracles, and wipes away this entire world of separation. So, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you. I will be back again tomorrow for A Course in Miracles deep dive, where I'll be deep diving into the text. We are just starting chapter 3, section 4, and it's innocent perception. We've been on atonement without sacrifice for many months, and now we're starting a new section, and it's going to be all about the innocent perception. So please join tomorrow at 3 Hawaii time. And if you cannot join, these are recorded. When I go live on Facebook, they're there on my Facebook live page. So if you go to my, they're there right away as soon as I'm done. So if you go to my page, Facebook, I think it's Hope Akea Johnson Facebook. I think it's Facebook/Hope Akea Johnson. And then after that, type in live on the address bar and you'll get to all my lives. Those are immediately there. Later on, within a few weeks, I get them posted to all the podcast stations. They end up on my website, hopejohnson.org. That's another place you can go for resources. You can join me on Zoom. If you go to hopejohnson.org, you're not on Zoom right now. Maybe you're hearing this later. You can join by Zoom. You can get to my Facebook page. You can get to all kinds of things. Substack, when I post it to Substack, it also contains a written summary of what we went over. Substack has a good way to allow that to happen. So if you enjoy it, go to my website. You can find all the resources there. Also, I do this 100% on donation, and I do pay for a lot of different technology and different things like that. Also, I'm in a lifestyle right now where I'm not trying to earn any money. I am just really I'm really just sharing with people, meditating, relaxing, being with people, that kind of thing. So if you feel inspired to donate to me, you can go to my website, hopejohnson.org. There is a donate tab there, and you can even donate with a monthly donation. I think the minimum donation on there might be $25. I'm not sure. If you want to donate less than that, or you want to just donate directly to me, just get a hold of me. I could take a credit card, PayPal, anything like that. Also, I accept all kinds of different gifts. People have been bringing me gifts. I'm having sugarcane juice right now, kombucha, things like that, jun, fruit, things like that, massage, anything that occurs to you. I know it's really helpful to tithe when you feel like something is helpful to you. So if that be the case for you and you're so inspired, you can do that. So until tomorrow, thank you so much for joining. Mahalo, aloha, and a hui ho. Yay.